Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family beyond the binary, good evening and welcome to another Killshot Esports casting extravaganza. Tonight we have the first game of the playoffs that Insidious will be taking part in, and they are going to be going up against a team called eNet Vanguard. And I tonight am joined in the casting booth by
Some great Overwatch for this UGC tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Now, to give you a little bit of context here, Team Insidious finished with a 4-2 season, and that just barely let them squeak into the playoffs. They were looking at possibly a 5-run record, but they were taken down in the last match of the regular season. I forget the team's name who did that, but they may be seeing them as they climb up this competitive ladder. If they make it through eNet Vanguard tonight, that is. So it'll be exciting to see what happens. Now, another interesting thing about this tournament is, since we are in the playoffs, the map rotation is actually set for us. So tonight we already know that first up we will be going to Busan.
Well, that makes it easy for us to always be able to know exactly where we're going and be able to predict sort of how that will affect the teams. Busan is there's a lot of variation when it comes to that map. You get the brawl on the
Not biased, not at all. No, not biased at all with the wrecking ball. But yeah, so I'm sure we're going to see some of that, and I am certain we'll see it come out on Busan as well, because if nothing else, Sanctuary is a great ball map.
Absolutely, and I think we're almost ready to head into Busan. If we are checking the R's, and it looks like we're all R, so I think we're about to head
Excellent.
in.
I'll be excited to see which map we end up at first, because this, it always to me is like it it's a little like a temperature check, of the match, right?
Mm-hmm.
It lets us take the temperature and see, how these teams are both going to look against each other. They're going to probably come out, try a few different things, and then start to settle in on a look that I think they'll like, towards the end of the map, if not sooner. And first up, we are going to Mecha Base.
It's a great pick. We see a lot of the Rhine May on this map. I like to think of Control as a little bit of a sort of almost like an exhibition match. We don't really see, I think a team's real true strength on Control. I think it can be very much decided by maybe a little bit of wacky things at times, and maybe teams don't always have their true get together on Control. So I never think you can call it with the first Control map, but I always like to see what teams can come out with. We are seeing the matched Rhine Diva from both teams with a Kree May from the side of Kree Doomfist from the side of eNet, and then Kree May from the side of Insidious. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, I like the slightly asymmetric lineup that we're looking at here. Phaser on that Doom one potential.
Yeah, you run into, this is like where the trade-off is. You lose a lot of that consistent value with the May, but you could potentially get, pop-off Doomfist. We'll have to see whether or not it's worth that risk for the side of eNet.
We certainly will, and the fight is starting to break out. Team Greed has moved up to kind of challenge JP on that Reinhardt. Both teams still looking pretty healthy, but it's getting pushed back quite a bit right now by eNet Vanguard. Team Greed shields going down low, but the immortality field is already popped from Emelenka. So without her having that big support ability, this should be the go button now for Insidious, and they are pushing it hard and fast. Now JP's shield goes down low. Bijan is actually out of mech, but Edax is the first one picked by JP, and the picks really start falling in for eNet Vanguard right after that opening kill.
Yeah, so what we saw there was just a little bit of hesitation from the side of Insidious. They actually demech'd the D.Va early, right after they killed the Immortality field. So that's a huge pick. You should be going in on that. They don't have a tank, but instead they took a lot of space, and eventually the Doomfist or the Reinhardt was able to get a charge kill on your Bay, and at that point the fight's over.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this fight has already started out, and of course both sound barriers being used by each time. Dream Psychotic actually able to get pinned onto JP, so now the main tank of eNet Vanguard is down, as well as Phaser. The Team Insidious pushing to point now for control of it, and eNet Vanguard is going to try and stall it out just a little bit with the Lucio and the D.Va here, but that's going to be it. They're going to take this point now.
Yeah, that was a lot better tempo. Speaking of just being able to use those ults early and find more value with it than eNet was able to, which is I don't know, maybe they were just a little nervous, had a little bit of anxiety at the match start, but that was a lot better. Very quick improvement turnaround for Insidious.
Certainly was. And the fight has started out again. Kalenka, is actually already down again. And Insidious is able to take advantage of that despite the amplification matrix. Without those heals from the Baptiste, that was just a lost fight for eNet Vanguard.
Yeah, poor positioning by your Baptiste, against this Mei, and against, there's a lot of damage coming down this hallway from the side of the Kree and the D.Va. That's just a lot of damage. You have to be careful. And now with the Death Blossom, the Shatter, and the Deadeye from the side of Insidious, it's gonna be hard for them for eNet to push into this.
That it will, but they've already made it through the kill, which is good for them. They're taking control of this high ground now, but Demon 3 once again finds Kalenka with the Fire Strike, and everybody again starts to fall really quickly. D.Va Bomb comes in from Bijan's, but it's not going to be enough to swing the tide of the fight in favor of eNet Vanguard, and Insidious is going to keep control at this point.
So what happened there was that eNet actually made a great rotation there. Insidious didn't catch them during the rotation, just let them rotate on the high ground. The Reaper was able to get the Death Blossom off, the Kree High Noon was able to get in position, but then they just fell apart, and they're just losing fights because of these early picks time and time again.
Yeah, they certainly are. That fight was over almost before it started on the back of a 5-man shatter from Demon Breed. So now we are in last fight territory for eNet Vanguard. They have to make some magic happen here if they hope to stay in this round.
Yeah, they do have that shatter, so this will be interesting. That's a big one, by the way.
Yeah, 4-man shatter, but Javi is there with the Immortality field, keeping the members of Insidious up. And once again, he's free. Value with that time straight. Death Blossom comes in from the deck. Here's the D.Va Bomb from Bijan. And they exchange kills. This is now, though, still looking very, very good for Insidious. And as the last picks come in for them, they are going to hold on to this point and take round 1.
Very solid performance by the side of Insidious, just getting those picks early, and honestly, eNet just making a lot of mistakes. eNet getting picked early, they had that wonderful rotation and they didn't do anything with it. They just let Insidious push into them, which you never want to do. Not using their ult smartly. Again, they stuck on that Doomfist the whole time, and I don't think he ever really got the value that you want that kind of pick character to get. At least if you're subbing him out for a Mei. Right, so just consistent first picks and good tempo from the side of Insidious allowed them, pretty much just keep eNet on their back foot, and that's all that it really boils down to in the end.
Yeah, that certainly is. We've seen a pretty big change coming out now for team for eNet Vanguard, and they're going with the ball hog comfort position now. King, though, able to get the first pick on the boosted boy. They don't have that Zenyatta now to help with damage. Z Piano Man goes down as well from Dream Psychotic, and this fight looks like it's going very quickly the way of Insidious.
Yeah, eNet actually called for a pause there at the beginning, but they can't, according to the rules. So I don't know if there was a problem there. Maybe their main tank was stuck in spawn or something. I wasn't exactly paying attention that much, but that's unlucky because that was just a very quick and easy fight win. and now we have Dream Psychotic is already almost over halfway. We have almost over halfway to an EMP. That's not good though.
No, that is certainly not good. The king goes down early, so they're not going to have that quick rotation in and out ability that they Insidious does. But they've already dropped down onto eNet Vanguard. They've used the Immortality Heal. Hokage goes down very low. Dream Psychotic almost connects. There they go. EMP comes out though from Edax. They catch all 6 members, but it's not going to be enough as JP is there with that rocket hammer to swing through the rest of the members of Insidious and take them out. But the fight is still being heavily contested on point, though it is likely going to go the way of eNet Vanguard, and they're going to get their first capture control on this round.
I have mixed feelings about Edax's Sombra. So I really like his hacks onto the Mei. Those are great hacks. Those are awesome hacks. You want to be hitting the divas so that you're not getting a lot of stuff eaten. But Mei is a great target. No wall to fight against. It's great. However, that EMP, there was nobody there to follow up. Like, you were missing half your team, and it was just, I didn't love that decision.
Here comes the Diva Bomb now from Dream Psychotic. It's able to get boosted. Boy, that's going to be another big pick for they get the remake kill as well on this EP Animan. That's 2 down already for eNet Vanguard. JP going down very low, eventually taken out right before they get that Earth Shatter online. And that is a fast retake for Insidious.
Yeah, we did see 2 support ults and a tank ult invested in that fight though. So now they are coming back up on the EMP, they're coming up on the Death Blossom, which can be deadly together. But you have to make sure you pull those off. Whereas eNet is coming up on, they have the Rhine, they have pretty much almost everything except for Beat. So this is going to be really hard, I think, for eNet, or for Insidious to pull off, or eNet to bomb.
Excellent EMP that time. They're able to get 4 members of eNet Vanguard. That plus comes in right afterwards, and now we see the Primal Rage pop from Demon Breed to try and take care of the rest of the members of eNet Vanguard. Might not have needed that last Primal though, and especially considering this is last fight territory, and they're coming up onto it with 0 ults in the bank.
You know, I said it was hard for eNet to botch, but when Insidious plays it that well, what can they do? You know, that was a perfect EMP Blossom.
It certainly was. Faze are able to get a pick now onto Demon Breed. Shatter comes in onto the King. Edax tries to hack JP. Is able to get it through, but it's not really going to have too much of an effect. As the Hokage and King are both down. As well as Edax. The fight happening now on point, but it's firmly in control of eNet Vanguard, and they're going to recap.
Yeah, and now eNet is looking at no ults to, eNet is looking at 3 ults to Insidious's none. I believe Dream Psychotic does have Bomb, but that is a lot of ultimate abilities for the side of eNet. They're going to have a hard time pushing into this. It's going to be a little bit difficult to really make this work, especially with the point control on the side of eNet. That's a very big natural defender's advantage. You know where they're going to have to play into. You have that Bomb for space. You have the Kainu. We'll see if it can do anything.
It just briefly, the bomb just briefly zones out a few members of eNet Vanguard. They're all able to safely find places. And the sound barrier comes in now onto eNet Vanguard. The Deadeye finds value onto Demon Breed. Main take is gone now for Insidious. Now is the moment of decision. Do they back up or do they push forward and try and get another pick? They decide to back up, and I think that was a smart move considering this is now firmly in last fight territory. But they do have a couple support ultimates coming up.
Yeah, we see the bomb come out from Bidons and the Cole, and both support ults now from the side of Insidious. It's going to be a miracle they can make this work though.
Yeah, the EMP comes in 3, go down 4, 5, a 5-man death
6K,
with the
that's a 6K.
Right at the end from Hokage, the hero that Insidious needed at the last moment. And yes, you do deserve that emote right there at the end, Hokage. Phenomenal work coming in and clutching it out hard for Team Insidious, and they go up to an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, that was beautiful. You know, I think consistently they were really, just wonderful. They were just really executing super well on their ult combos. The EMP Blossom was just consistently good. They were usually finding value with the bombs from the side of Dream Psychotic, but you know, we were just seeing a lot of their actually their faltering. I know that they played well for the most part, but let's talk about their faltering was on the part of them not really playing their six man right. They were playing it split up. Their Lucio was getting out of position. Their main tank was getting out of position. Was getting hard countered by the Reinhardt for it, or hard punished by the Reinhardt for it. And we just saw a lot of just scattered parts. And six man has to be very careful about how it plays because individually it can fall apart very fast. You don't have you're relying on your Reaper for all your damage. Basically, this you have a Sombra otherwise, and it just it's you got to be really careful with your six man. eNet, on the other hand, consistently just not taking initiative, not using their ults smartly, not using them aggressively. Very reactive play from the side of eNet. I would really like to see them kind of push a little bit and knock Insidious back, because when Insidious is allowed to take their time and make these plans, that's when you get these beautiful EMP Death Blossoms. They know what they want to do. You have to, especially with the Sombra, you have to play fast, and you have to not give them that time to rush into you and not let your Sombra get into position. So eNet really has to be aware of that, and they need to be playing aggressively and making sure that they are not just getting knocked on their back foot and staying there.
Yeah, let's see if they can turn things around in this next map, which will be Dorado. Yes, we are going to the High Streets. Great dive map here, I think, as well as double bubbles. High ground control really, I think, is the name of the game here. Also could see Afara as well.
Yes, you can definitely see Farah here. A lot of teams have had success. There's a lot of roofs to hide around. You see Ash here sometimes, depending on the the skill of the dive on the other team, we should say. But this is a great map. A lot of high ground though. You have to be able to either take high ground control or deny it to your enemy at the very least. If you can't do that, then you are going to get peppered by a Junkrat and an Ash for the entire game, and it's not going to be fun. So let's see which team is going to be better at maintaining that strength of positioning.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you think either team is looking a little bit superior, in terms of what what compositions we might see coming out here? Do you think this could be, a good map for eNet, maybe something they're going to look a little more positive on, or do you think we're going to see more of the same kind of dominance that we saw from Insidious on the first map?
I think eNet definitely can do this. We really only saw the brawl from them on the first map. We saw the brawl on both points actually, which you don't really usually see it too much on downtown, unless my memory is failing me. But I think that it's gonna be really up to them to be able to play into this smartly. I think potentially right now Insidious looks like a stronger team, but again, Control's not a good representation of a team's strength. So I think this will be the real teller of who's in control here.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. And we do have an asymmetric composition coming out again. We've got Demon Breed on the Orisa and Dream Psychotic on the Rek'Thal with Afara, Ash, and Persiana. So this is an interesting look. We've got pretty much a straight dive with McCree coming out from VNet. There's the dive in. Mostly just zones out Insidious from this high ground. They're going to back up a little bit and kind of give eNet Vanguard the space to get set up there, which I'm sure they're thankful of. EDAX trying to cause a little bit of problems, so with those rockets coming in, there comes the engage from Dream Psychotic. They come in for a slam, get a little bit of ult charge, and they're trying to back out, but they're getting stopped by JP, although they're healed. Their health isn't going down too terribly low. They do eventually decide to back out, but this card isn't really making a whole lot of progress yet. Zibiano Man goes down to Hokage. Now, Insidious can't really see eNet Vanguard deciding to back off and try again.
Let me tell you, as a McCree player, I don't want to be in ZPN's man's shoes ever. This McCree is an awful. This McCree's just gonna have so much trouble going into this. You don't want to. McCree hates pushing into stagnant shields like this. He, especially with a Winston, he likes the shield to hide behind. He You know, he's going up against an Ashe, which outranges him. A Pharah with a Mercy, which with the hit scanners he can't successfully take out, really, at least by himself. You're not really accomplishing much with this pick, to be honest.
Oh my gosh. But the accomplishments have started to come in on point. JP and Edax exchange, but the res comes in from Keen onto Edax. So we're back full strength now on Insidious, and with Phaser going down now from eNet Vanguard, they're forced to back off, especially because B-Johns is also eNet.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna run this sort of run into them with high damage like the Echo, I like to see Reaper over McCree here. At least you have that self-sustain a little bit where you can Wraith Form to get away. McCree is just such a sitting duck here, and you are pushing into angles that are not fun at all. And with that ball too disrupting you, you're just gonna have a hard time. So they're trying this upwards rotation again. I don't know if it's gonna work because they're pushing into 4 ults on the side of Insidious, including Bob. So
here comes the minefield.
There's the minefield.
Boosted Boy already taken out, but Phaser gets the equalization on the Edax. Can King find a res? They are trying to, and they just barely sneak it in while Z-Man wasn't quite paying attention. And in the meantime, Hobby able to take down Phaser on that Echo. Big hits again coming in for Insidious, but there's the Deadeye. Can it catch anything? Doesn't look like it will, but it does. Demon Breed going down. And now eNet Vanguard looking a little stronger than we've seen them so far on Dorado. Here comes the self-destruct from D.Va. It's tossed high, but it doesn't catch anything. There's the barrage as well. Nothing coming from that, and Phaser actually able to take out Edax. So now eNet Vanguard finally getting their feet underneath them and winning this fight.
Yeah, I really thought that B-John's bomb there was going to just clear that pharmacy out of the sky, but it got caught in the roof and it didn't. That's really unfortunate. And now the bomb has been thrown out, but it's just so darn late, it's not going to really accomplish anything. And I gotta say, Hokage dying with Bob that fight is a massive problem for Insidious. You don't have that Bob to stall, you don't have a lot of your point presence, and that's why eNet was able to kind of find their footing and come in and collapse on them.
Yeah, good point. That without that extra pressure there on point, really not a whole lot that Insidious can do. But they've decided to regroup now. And it looks like they're rotating to this high ground, realizing just how powerful it is. They're gonna try and knock Jay down off the high ground. Seems like how they're able to do that, and they'll just very quickly, I think, retake the high ground now. And Insidious is set up in a very good spot, I think.
Yeah, I agree. You know, with this Orisa and the Ashe, this is a lot to poke into. You know, they just can't. Yeah, mines come out, but this is a very good position for Insidious and very not favorable to eNet's comp. eNet essentially has to go all the way around for their McCree to find value. The Brig is not going to be able to find too much value here either. I don't like this for them. I think they need to switch it up.
Yeah, they may need to, but we see Z Piano Man right now on the flank very hard. They're holding on to that Deadeye. Looking for the moment when the rest of eNet Vanguard pushes in, and here it is, the sleep comes in though from Bobby. There's the Deadeye, but Hokage is there to take them out. Dream Psychotic with the slam onto the sleeping JP. Nano comes, or Anti comes in as well, and the Nano onto Demon Breed. That Orisa looks terrifying right now. With all of that damage, as well as the damage boost from King. Both the support ultimates getting used at that point. Not sure if that was the plan or not, but it certainly got the job done.
Piano Man, listen, I've been there before. I know it's tempting. I know you see those skulls and you just know you can get that massive Deadeye. But it's never going to happen. Deadeye's like one of the worst ultimates of the game. Just don't do it. Stick with your team. It's so much better. And everybody just looked at him right away and he went down. And then you're down your McCree, which is large sources of damage. Just not the cleanest, smartest plays from eNet coming out right now. They've rushed and they're panicked, is what we're seeing, especially with that primal right there.
Yeah, JP goes down almost instantaneously because of that barrage and the rest of the damage coming in from Insidious. Right now, Phaser high in the sky looking to try and maybe get a little pick damage. They're so close to the duplication that they can before this fight starts. That could be a big boon for them. We hear the rally pop down from Grumpy Monk. That's going to give so many extra shields, but they're not going to help Piano Man again. And now the supercharger is out on the high ground from Demon Breed. There's the bomb from B-Johns. and it gets the supercharger, but nobody else. Edax in the meantime able to find Grumpy Monk on the ground, and right now we are in overtime, and this card has only gotten halfway through, and the kills still look like they're coming in, except for the pick onto the king in favor of Insidious. They're really putting a lot of pressure on the point right now. JP goes down, Phaser is down as well. This might be the moment that they need to stop the cart, the nano onto Hokage, and that's gonna do it. Insidious holds halfway through Streets phase in Dorado.
I'm just gonna be honest. This is a textbook comp diff. Really, you're running like almost like a hybrid composition into this. Like, it's not true. This is true poke, and you're not closing the distance fast enough. You're not playing a brawl that can go all the way around with the Lucio and speed onto it. You're running the monkey, but you're running the echo with it. You're not coordinated. You're not diving anything. eNet doesn't know what they want to do. They don't look like they have practice for this poke at all. They look very scattered right now, and they're rushing to make plays, trying to make things work. It's sometimes it works. They got them first point, but a lot of the times it's not, especially when they do it one by one, like they did with the primal, and then with the duplication on the Thara. It's just eNet really needs to take a second and to think about what the enemy team is running and how to play around that. You have to be thinking about, okay, this adaptation is something a lot of mid diamond teams up to masters like really suffer with. They get really good at the one thing they play or two things that they play, but when the enemy runs something wacky, then it falls apart. So they really need to be able to realize, like, this is what the enemy is playing, how do we adapt to this? And we're not seeing that yet. Hopefully we'll see it soon, though.
Yeah, let's see if this adaptation works, because they have gone over to a little bit of a different look. Look, Piano Man onto the Ashe now, which does favor them, I think, a little bit more than that McCree, but still maybe not the ideal pick. We've got Phaser on the Tracer as well. Likely going to be harassing Dream Psychotic on that ball, but also looking towards the backline. And there's the jump in from Demon Breed. Instantly gets Anti, though, as well as Edax, so they're going to have to play things pretty slow at the moment. But they've made a little bit of card progress at the point under the guidance of Hokage on that Tracer. Both teams making small dives at the moment, just looking for a little bit of poke damage here. But now I imagine the fight's really going to heat up as we get to this point just under the bridge, where eNet can really start to hammer down onto Insidious, and that's what we see them trying to do. But Demon Breed comes up with the first pick on the Piano Man. JP going down very low. Edax with that focusing beam trying to get a lot of damage into eNet Vanguard. Piano Man is back, has respawned at this point, and it's a good thing because it looks like their team's really going to need it. Hokage finds the pulse bomb onto JP. Dream Psychotic gets a pick on the boosted boy, and that's going to do it. Despite the rest of the staggers that are coming out on the point, they're going to get to push this card probably pretty close to the first point capture. So,
First off, Piano Man got caught out on his own. He didn't rotate with his team and got dived by the monkey. Just Ashe. Second, the Tracer, like the whole job of the Tracer here on defense is to just harass the living hell out of him, to make that on his life miserable. And instead he was on cart, right? So just weird focus from eNet right there.
Yeah, but the focus seems to be working this time as they have equalized the picks. In fact, both of the supports are down for Insidious right now, with Bomb getting tossed to the point. That's going to make things very, very difficult. B-Johns with the bomb on the point. Doesn't catch anybody, but it zones people out. Demon Breed in the meantime, able to find Boosted Boy, but they were able to get the Nano out right before that. Grumpy Monk coming up on this rally as well, but it's not going to be enough as Demon Breed and Hokage doing the hero's work on point right now. And is this cap going to eventually come in? Yes, it does. And they've got 4 minutes to get this cart just a little over halfway to second point.
We see Piano Man switch over to the Kree, which I would have liked to see from the beginning. The Ashe is okay, but I really would have liked to see that Kree too, to help discourage that dive and to just have a little bit of a stronger front line. In all, the Tracer pick just I don't think was accomplishing enough, especially with how scattered eNet has been. It requires a really good idea of what you're doing. Speaking of what you're doing, that Nano Monkey is going to be a menace to anyone.
Yes, it certainly will be, but the nano has already expired. But not before. Actually, JP was able to get a pick onto Javi. But despite that, Insidious still pushing the card a little bit. They're going to try and see if they can equalize with a quick pick here. They're diving the high ground at this point. eNet, with that focusing, he's able to take out JP. So they've lost their main take now on eNet. Tracer doing as much work as they can to try and stall out this point, but it is creeping slower and close to the finish line for Insidious. Dream Psychotic is forced to back out again, but can anyone even touch Shadow B. Johns is on point, doing as much work as they can, but that's going to do it. And Insidious looking very dominant now on Dorado as well. Can eNet Vanguard do anything to stop them?
That's the question. It really is, because Insidious is playing very solidly, right? They're making some mistakes, like all teams do, right?
Yes.
But they are playing very solidly. Right now, it is totally on eNet, because eNet is playing just so more not organized. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know their win conditions. They don't know their planning. I don't see any fight planning. To be honest,
right.
eNet looks like they're throwing things at the wall and hoping what sticks. I'm not seeing any coordinated plans from I'm seeing, you know what I am seeing? I'm seeing really good rotations. Sometimes from eNet, some really clean, nice rotations that deny high ground, deny lines of sight. Really nice rotations, and then they don't do anything with them. I know that there is practice here. I know that there is work that's been put in by eNet, but I have to see. I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know what it is, but right now they're just so disorganized. They look disheveled. When Insidious looks like they know their plans. They know exactly what they've practiced for each map. They're like, okay, this is what we run. This is where we position, etc. These are our ult combos, etc. They don't even look like they're pulling off any true strategies, right? They just look like they know their default positioning. They know their default win conditions. And eNet doesn't, right? So eNet could. So it's sort of, you have to think of it as like Insidious is playing a solid middle. And eNet could be playing around them because Insidious is not making a bunch of hero plays. They just know what they're doing. But instead, eNet is so chaotic and so disorganized that they are instead down here. They need to get it together, recognize what they need to do, and then play around what Insidious is doing. Because Insidious is very consistent. Insidious knows their strategies and they know what they want to do. eNet is not. eNet is chaotic, and they need to pull it back together, take a deep breath, and think before they play. Think before rushing in.
Yeah, you're right. They are looking very chaotic. Maybe they need to re-roll that D20 and see if their alignment can change to something, like a little more neutral, perhaps. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's
Good job.
It's going to be curious. Thank you. Yeah, for the D&D fans out there, it'll be curious to see if they can, organize themselves just a little bit more, because you're right. They all seem to almost have their own idea, right? There was that kind of ill-advised Deadeye on the high ground from Piano Man that just, really was going to be hard to get any kind of value. If you don't have anybody else there with you, they're going to spot you out easily, and you're just moving like this.
In the best case scenario for you there, they kite around the building. The only way that works is if they sit there and panic and they look like a deer in headlights. I'll say this: eNet looks like they're playing a comp game. Insidious looks like they're playing serious competitive Overwatch. Insidious looks like a team that's been practicing together and playing well together. eNet looks like people with decent game sense and an idea of what they should be doing, but no faith in each other, no trust in one another. They're not relying on each other near as much as Insidious is. Insidious, their tanks trust their healers. Their healers trust their DPS. The DPS are able to get picks because the tanks are creating space. eNet, they're just looking to go in and get the game, right? It's a free-for-all for them. And that's just team discipline. And that just, there's not really too much you can do about that except hope that they can adapt and realize the problem. And that is the biggest challenge almost all teams face.
Yeah, it certainly is. And let's see if those problems get ironed out for Vanguard as we head to our third and potentially final map at Kings Row. What a classic spot to, have this very, very pivotal match.
Yeah, Kings Row, a fan favorite, a beautiful map, very nice. London at night, very pretty. We get a lot of brawl here, which eNet admittedly played better on. Like, I mean, their dive was
Hmm.
nothing really to talk about, but their brawl was at least better. And I don't know if it's because everybody's more comfortable with brawl than anything else, but I think that at least they'll have a little bit of an advantage, more of an advantage here than they did on Dorado. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point. They're going to be able to play something that just about every team is practiced and well versed in, and that's Brawl. So I'll be curious to see how well they can kind of pull themselves back out of this hole that they've kind of dug themselves into so far. Reverse sweeps are definitely a thing in Overwatch, and it's not unheard of because I feel like when it happens, right, when a team comes back and they get that first win after going down 0-2, a lot of times it's because they've kind of figured out the other team. And so if eNet Vanguard can figure out Insidious here, right, get into their heads, find the weak point. They got to be like velociraptors testing the fence right now, poking in
I
every
love
single
that.
spot they can find until they find just the point that's weak enough that they can get an advantage and they can get an edge and they can pull out a win on Kings Row.
I
So it'll
wore
be
a
really curious
Jurassic
to see if
Park
this
shirt
happens.
last time we casted together, so
You're
I
right,
really
you did,
appreciate it.
didn't you?
I really appreciate it. 'Cause I got called out on it because they're like, "Oh, I love Juggle God in his suit, and you're in a really nice Jurassic Park shirt, miraculous." And I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. We all can't
It
be
is.
Juggle God, okay?"
No, you're great. I love you, man. And
Uh,
I love the. I was actually reading your shirt today too, and I like that as well. Just the message behind it too. The
oh yeah,
healthy body, healthy horns. Don't know exactly what that means,
it's my
but
college. I go to UT,
oh,
so we're the
oh, okay.
Longhorns. So
The Longhorns. You're in Austin, Texas, then.
I am in Austin, Texas.
Oh, I
It's a
love that
interesting
city.
area. You made a tweet about Torchies today, and I've had nothing but Torchies for like the last 3 weeks. So I
Oh yeah.
empathize very strongly with that.
Oh man, I tell you, I love Torchies. Love
Oh, they
Torchies
have some
tacos.
great tacos.
Yeah, I had them for the first time when I was in Austin, and then they
Okay.
actually moved up to Colorado. They've got a few locations here now, and so yeah, it's my go-to, man. When I'm when
Their
I'm when
queso
I'm
is
starving. Oh,
so good.
it's my favorite, the
It's
hillbilly
good.
queso, right?
Yes, with the green
Yes.
chili and yes, it's
Oh
delicious.
my gosh. If
All right,
anyone in
back to
chat knows,
Overwatch.
yeah.
Yes, yes. If you ever need a Mexican place and you're near Torchy's Tacos, go to Torchy's Tacos. All right, that's
Yeah.
our sellout for the day. Sponsored by. Put it up. Yes. So we are seeing the Rhine Diva from both. Or no, sorry, we're seeing Rhine Diva from Insidious, but Monkey Diva. I don't know if they're gonna stick on that for eNet. Sombra Pharmacy for eNet and McCree May for Insidious. So very traditional rush comp from Insidious, and a little bit of a wacky Saturday morning cartoon comp from eNet.
Yeah, a little bit. But you know what? Speaking of Saturday morning cartoons, my favorite Saturday morning cartoon is the Chengdu Hunters, and they make
True,
wacky stuff work really well, especially on Kings Row. So you know what? Go for it, eNet Vanguard. If this is what you need to do to get the dub, I'm behind you for it. So let's see what they can do, as they have already rotated to this high ground. Insidious backing up just to give them a little bit of space and wait until they can find the member, that they want to really descend onto. Javi is hacked, but Javi is able to pick out CPM and Deep Green isolated though by their own Mayball. It eventually comes down and they use the immortality field. Javi getting another thing now onto JP. So with two members down from eNet Vanguard, that's going to be a hard race.
Yep. I like the hack, but I don't know if the Piano Man just got out of position, was a little bit too aggressive with it. What you need to be doing there is you get the hack, and you either need to A, signal your team to come in real quick, or B, just farm a little bit and get out. And
I will not waste
that's not what he did. He got punished for it. So that's a lot of EMP charge lost, and a very important point to be gaining it on.
Yeah, very good point. And because of that too, you know, they're going to be very far behind in their ult economy. Speaking of ults, here comes the amplification matrix. Z-Man going into the back line again, but zoned out by Dream Psychotic. Their boost back there with that D.Va very, very quickly. And once again, eNet Vanguard starting to rotate in. Anti-nade comes in onto JP. And so they decide to move out of the way very, very quickly. But now they're caught in the corner as well. Phaser comes in on this bar to try and help them out a little bit, and now City's being pushed back once again on point. Malenka pops this, and Phaser with the big barrage coming in for eNet Vanguard. Demon Breed trying to equalize, gets a pick onto B-Johns. So now it's a 5v4. This is still very winnable, especially because Boosted Boy is down. But the kills coming in now hot and heavy for eNet Vanguard, and they do have the spawn advantage, so this is going to heavily favor them. They've already got one tick, and it's very unlikely that Insidious is going to be able to recontest, and they're going to set up in the street phase.
eNet is very chaotic, like we've said, but in this case it actually worked for them. They were able to split up Insidious, and they didn't know, they weren't ready for it. We actually saw Edax throw out Blizzard. That's a massive ultimate to not have for the street space. Where these tight corridors benefit from that so much. Big knife from Hokage takes out that pharmacy, so now they may not even need it for this fight.
They may not, and in fact, what's really great about this for Insidious is now, because of that big, you know, fight win, which happened in an instant, they're able to take the cart and hold under these arches right here, which is just a big win for them. But he is down, and there comes the EMP. They smell the blood in the water like sharks, and they are on the prowl. Amplification matrix out now from Tommy. And stop the end of the bleeding. CPM and able to take out Hokage and Phaser once again with the fantastic barrage, able to take out the rest of Insidious, and they're going to keep this cart moving now through street space.
King now has twice, almost 3 times, been caught out of position and punished for it, and it leads to a fight loss. You don't have that Lucy to speed back your brawl. You don't have beat potential. You don't have any ability to gain beat potential, and it really looks like Insidious is struggling answering this Pharmacy. Pharmacy has been it's much more impressive now with the hit scan nerfs, and that you have to be able to address this with the D.Va or with the Echo or something. And we're just not really seeing that right now from Insidious.
No, we certainly aren't. Dream Psychotic really needs to get up there and get in the face of Phaser. Picks coming in for each side. Both Mercies out of the picture now, but that's going to hurt eNet Vanguard a little bit more. Both supports out now for each team. So this is going to be a very interesting deathmatch that we get to watch on point now. All of that healing, they're going to have to get just coming from health packs for the cart. Phaser out of the fight as well for eNet Vanguard. Dream Psychotic gets demeched now, and that's going to make it a lot harder for Insidious to hold on to this one. But the respawns are in their advantage. Demon Breed already back on this wrecking ball.
Yeah, I actually really like eNet playing this kind of comp because whereas normally they just lose their support because they're not paying attention to it, in this kind of comp, it actually kind of revolves around trading your support, about going in far, getting that support from the enemy team, and letting your on and die in the meantime. And it's actually working for them in a way.
Yeah, it certainly is. Phaser gets picked off, but the rest comes in from Malenka. She's able to get there just in time to get that going. And again, the pick coming in for eNet Vanguard. That EMP doing a tremendous amount of work, and now they're going to get the push against this card, and Insidious is going to have to do everything they can to just kind of fight back and give them enough space until the rest of their team comes back to retest. But it's going to be really hard with the deep bomb going in behind them. They are zoned out, and now they are reeling to the wind. Tommy on the left side going to get taken out easily by JP on that Winston. That is what Winston was born to do right there. And the primal rage on top of it, just making things even harder. The Rez comes in on the hop. They're able to back out and actually find enough time to build up this transcendence to keep their team alive underneath this barrage from the Gentleman, who is eventually taken out by Hokage on this racer. It's just doing a fantastic job stalling out this cart and this point.
Ooh, that was close. I really thought that JP was about to lead that pulse bomb into his mercy, but it didn't matter because she died anyway. So, a very quick observation, what I'm noticing is that eNet struggle so much with closing out fights. They don't have the target focus that Insidious has, and they just let the stall happen for so long. They don't know who they're going on, and that's why they keep losing these fights they should be winning. Insidious knows that they can get back and they can reinforce. Insidious basically gets 2 fights for the price of 1 because nothing ever dies and the fight never ends.
Speaking of fights never ending, we have started the last one, the one that is in overtime. Dream Psychotic comes in with a big diva bomb, taking out M. Kolenka. Ziana and JP out of the fight as well, so this is a 3v6. This fight is all but over for Insidious, unless some miraculous things come in, but the eNet Vanguard doesn't have any ults to work with. It's bombs on point now from Demon Breed, and that's gonna do it. They hold right at the end of Streets phase.
Yep. I will say, this is winnable for eNet. But right now we are seeing a really, just consistently we are seeing a lack of discipline from the side of eNet. We are not seeing target focus. We're not seeing organization. We're not seeing, cohesion, reliance on each other. I could keep going on, but basically what we're just seeing right now is just an organizational discipline difference. They're not coordinating like the target that they're on, really. They're getting great picks, but then somebody stalls out for so long, and then the rest of the team, rest of Insidious gets back and gets to fight that. And now on offense, where eNet is on defense, you lose 1, that can be a fight loss. You can't afford to make these bad mistakes. The same thing happened with King. King died early. They basically got a free fight win, because defense just has so much. There's so much on the line. So you have to play careful here. We are seeing the Sigma ball on the side of eNet, still running that pharmacy, which was working very well for them. It was very impressive. And we're seeing the Arista Diva from the side of Insidious. So we're gonna see if this will be interesting. Kind of mirrored poke almost.
Yeah, this is going to be very fascinating. Hokage goes over very quickly to the Tracer, and Demon Breed opts, again, very quickly to go back over to this Wrecking Ball. So, going to be interesting to see how both these teams kind of stack up against each other. JP going to have to kite back very, very quickly, I think, from any kind of danger that comes their way. And speaking of danger coming their way, there is Demon Breed. Again, zoned out by the Accretion, but Boosted Boy actually able to get a pick onto Hobby, so things looking good for eNet Vanguard right now, as they've got nice control over just about everything inside this little hallway here on Key's Road. That's going to do it for them. They're going to have to try it again.
Yep, just a bit of an ugly rotation there from the side of Insidious. They just nobody rotated all together. Everybody got split up. They weren't really sure what they were doing, and it just led to that fight. Edax really has to be sticking on that pharmacy. You have to be providing pressure onto that, getting her out of the sky, because the rest of your team is not going to be able to do very much at all without it.
Ooh, pick comes in onto B-Johns, but that's going to be rezzed very quickly by M. Kolenka. He does a great job finding the safety to get her hamster back into the fray. Demon Breed going back in, but Phaser already once again picked off Hobby. Hobby going down early in both fights so far is not a good look for Insidious. It's making this push so much harder. Hobby going down to Phaser as well. Phaser frankly doing a tremendous amount of work in the sky with this Vara on defense as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't love the Zenyatta pick here, because it's gonna be really hard for you to rotate in with your team, especially if they're doing any kind of complicated rotation. The EMP comes up, so I'll let you take over and I'll finish.
The EMP catches 3 members, but it doesn't seem to matter because Insidious has already gotten several picks, and they found what they needed, the key to unlocking this point, and they're gonna get to start going through Street Stakes.
Right, so Edax carried right there, getting like 4 final blows. So short of that, as I was saying, I don't like the Zenyatta pick because it's really hard for you to get in. You don't have a Lucio speed boost because then you actually have no healing of Lucio Zcom. And you're just a big target. That's why they met with that kind of limited success at the beginning, is because Zenyatta's a big square and he's really easy to take down early. So it ended up working because Edax is goated, but you know.
Yeah, that's really going to open things up. They've got their carry out of the fight. That is until a res comes in, but Palenka, she pays for it with her fight. Demon Breed able to take out the other support as well. And with both supports and a main takedown, this fight is moving.
Yeah. D-Johns there was waiting, trying to get some kills. He thought more people might be on the cart, but it just popped trans. Now that's very valuable ult to get out, but the fight was already won by the rest of his team, or by the rest of Insidious in the front line, so it didn't actually accomplish anything.
Yeah, good point right there. What do you think eNet is going to have to do coming into this last fight?
I think FaZe is going to have to kill 6, to be frank. if they want to have any real chance of success here.
We saw Hokage do it earlier. Yeah, Dream Psychotic has the bomb on point. It's able to send people away, but look at this 3 picks coming in rapid fire for eNet Vanguard. They're going to get to hold on to this point, as despite those lines on point from Demon Breed, that's not going to be.
Yeah. I mean, 3 minutes to defend this is not ideal. There's a lot of things that Insidious can do here to win. They can flank around with the different comp, you know, kind of pincer movement with the McCree and the Echo. That can be a lot of damage. I really don't like the Ash pick here. I guess they're just trying to go for the Bob, but it's a little tricky to deal with this pharmacy by Edax. It was nice knowing you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they almost get away, though. The Riz trying to come in from the...
Oh, nobody's on clock, though.
Moved and bobbed away, and yeah, the card gets pushed a little bit. But these picks really favoring eNet Vanguard. Bob comes in, though, from Hokage. They're very low in the back line, though. Bob gets slapped on point, woken back up, but they've got the anti-nade on them. Doesn't really need to do anything, though. Bijan's able to take out Hokage in the back line. And I'm not sure if it was such a good idea for Insidious to invest so much into a fight that really looked like it was lost.
That was
Alright, I want to see Hokage switch now. I want to see off the Ashe. The Ashe is not getting the space it needs to do anything. You're playing up against a Ball Diva. Nightmare for an Ashe. Against a Pharmacy, too. It's just so much poke damage. You're never going to be able to position. You're never going to be able to take a solid shot. And it's not like they're super grouped up together for your Dynamites to accomplish anything either. I really don't like this Ashe pick here. I would really like to see a Kree and maybe a Reinhardt or something that can kind of just, with a Lucio that can just push in here. King going down is not good though for the side of Insidious.
No, it's not. Bijan's going to be able to get back to that fight a lot quicker than the King will be. And this point is getting pushed pretty far back now by eNet Vanguard. Looks like maybe they have started to find their footing. Both tanks of Insidious have their ults, and here comes the one from Dream Psychotic, and it catches 2! A third goes down!
That's all they need.
This might be the opening that they need. The bombs come out on point as well. FaZe is trying for some last-minute heroics, able to take out Javi. But is it going to be too little too late? There's only 2 people left from eNet Vanguard on point. One of them has recalled away. The ball goes down. ZP Animan needs to get close to the cart, but they go away. Can Lucio touch at the last moment? No, they can, and that's going to do it. Insidious take the first round of the playoffs. They get to continue playing. Great effort tonight from you, eNet Vanguard. Sorry to see you go in the tournament. It was a pleasure to watch you play, but Insidious are the victors on the back of what I think was a standout play from both DPS tonight.
Yeah, and right there at the end, what we see basically, what led to that conclusion is that good ultimate usage by the side of Insidious, and not great ultimate planning and ultimate tracking from the side of eNet. eNet wasn't ready for that bomb. People got caught out of position. The Pharah, the Ana were both way out of position. You can only res one, and that was all the incentive that Insidious needed to just jump in there and get it done. So
Yeah.
it can be that much of a little thing when you're that close to the end. So and eNet played really well there. They really found their footing there at the end. The Pharah was nuts.
Yes.
Uncontested basically by Insidious. It was just really bad luck that it you know, a very small mistake that led to that. I really thought eNet could have walked away with that map. If
did too.
You know, but they just had a rough start, and you know they weren't able to push it as far as they would have liked, and then it just came down to you basically had to play that perfectly for 3 minutes, which is more
Yeah.
than a lot of teams, more than you could ask of a lot of teams. But both teams played super well tonight. This was really fun, good Overwatch to
Yeah.
watch and to cast. So
It absolutely was. We're going to throw it to a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We will be right back, hopefully with an interview from someone from Insidious. So stick around and see you soon. We are back, everybody, and we have the king in here for an interview from Insidious. First off, congratulations again on what I think was a very dominant win over eNet Vanguard.
Thank you. It was pretty tough in there, but it ended up, yeah, we came out on top pretty hard.
Yeah, you certainly did. And speaking about some of that toughness, I wanted to actually kind of approach that too, because I saw both you and Javi struggling in the backline to stay alive at certain points. Both of you getting picked off early in several fights. What kind of adjustments did you all have to make during the match to keep yourselves in the game and alive and turn it around for such a, like I said, such a dominant victory?
I think one of the hardest things about getting a real good dive going is when they counter dive you, because if they cut off your supports too hard, you die. So
Right.
one of the things that we did was I made the switch to Brig to try and protect Javi while he was on Ana,
Mm,
and then I think the hardest one was when we were doing the Zen Mercy. Javi was
Mhm.
struggling with staying
yeah.
alive. Ended up calling out, I'm gonna switch Ana. I need a stun to keep these guys off me, and it
Mhm.
worked out. That helped us get that final push on King's Row. So I'd say a good character swap here or there, just keeping ourselves protected, trying to self sustain so that the tanks can do what they needed to do.
That's great. Yeah, I'll say that you guys looked very comfortable. And a lot of your positioning and rotations, you looked like you were just letting them come into you, and you were executing your plans. You had really great ult combos. Did it feel like you guys were maybe more prepared than this other team was, because it looked like a lot of the time you guys were just able to adapt to what they threw at you, and you had your set plans, but they really didn't have them. So what were y'all's thoughts about that?
Um, I think a lot of that had to do with we were really in sync today.
Mm,
The call outs were phenomenal. With Dream doing the stealth searching for the Sombra and just overall being able to spread out when we needed to and group up when we needed to, and knowing exactly where we were going. I feel like we prepared really well and the comms were just on point today. We were able to react a lot better and just plan on the fly.
yeah, well, we definitely saw that. And like I said, you really excelled with your plans on the first two maps for sure. On Kings Row, though, it did look like you started running a little bit of trouble, especially against that pharmacy. It looks like y'all maybe just weren't as prepared for that. Did that give you? Was that a little bit of a trouble? Like, how were you thinking about adapting to that? What was your answer to that? Because it was consistently looking like that was their carry. How did you adapt and address that?
I think a lot of that came from the Farah hit her shots, like
Yeah.
direct rockets left and right.
Yeah.
It was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what we decided to do was for the Mercy Echo combo to try and draw their attention, really get
Hmm.
on them, try to kill one of the two so that the other one had to back off. Um, we attempted to deny the res a few times, but it didn't always work out. I know we did deny it a couple, but I think one of the things was that the rest of our team, while me and Explosion did that, Javi and Demon, Dream, and Hokage, they all took it around there and dominated their team on the ground. So even if we lost the flight battle, it was still a 4v2.
Hmm.
So
That's
I
good.
Yeah.
think that helped a lot. It kept them at least backing up.
Great.
Yeah, Garrett, good, very good point. That's a bit of advice I'd heard in the past before too. Ignore the Farah, just kill everything else, and then deal with her later. Sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't. So glad to hear that that strategy worked out for you today. Now, before we close things out, did you want to give any shout outs to anybody?
Um, I definitely would. I'd like to shout out to my wife and kids.
Aw,
She let me take time out of, cooking dinner and stuff. We actually have an AC repairman upstairs. It's hot as hell in my house right now.
oh my gosh.
Not
Um,
envious.
so I would like to do a shout out to her and the boys for letting me do
Well,
this and for being supportive.
that's awesome. You love to hear the king thanking the queen right there. That is about
Absolutely.
as wholesome as Overwatch gets. So, thank you so much for coming in for the interview tonight, King. Great job again to you and everyone else. Give Hokage a special high five from me for that 6K on Busan that we saw. That
That
was
was
absolutely
gross.
insane.
That
Yeah.
that EMP Reaper ult was gross.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, actually, give them both a high five for me because
Yeah.
that combo was insane. And yeah, I mean that set the tone. I think if that's gonna boom someone's mental, it's gonna be
It's gonna do
it's gonna
that.
happen. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely so. Thank you so much, everybody out there, for tuning in tonight. Once again, this has been a production for Killshot Esports, following Team Insidious to their first win in the playoffs in the UGC tournament. Hopefully, the first of many for you. Once again, my name is Warren Juggle God Hammond, been joined by Miraculous in the booth, and MD, our amazing producer, always in the back, doing fantastic work for us. Thank you so much. See you all next time. GG's and good night.